In terms of mentality and players being relatable and Rangers fans having kind of heroes, if you like. I mean, Mikey Moore kind of epitomises that for me, an 18-year-old kid. The fans love him. He's only a lone player, but they sang for him last night, especially when he put in that fifth goal. You compare that to an Asgard, and it's totally different. And to me, it's to do with mentality. It's playing with an intensity, a hunger, having a real appetite, not just to get on the ball, because people can talk about, he wants to get on the ball, but to actually get on the ball and do something, actually influence the game. Every time Mikey Moore got the ball last night, he was driving at defenders, committing people, trying to create, trying to impact the game. I mean, he's been, I think, even in this kind of, certainly the start of the season was difficult. It's obviously picked up now. I think overall, Moore's been an excellent loan signing for them. Would you, I mean, we touched on this in Hotline Live last night. Personally, I'd be kind of making that call to Spurs just now and seeing if you could get him back next season. I'm talking about permanent because he's probably going about with Rangers' reach money-wise, but is that something that you think they should be exploring?
I don't think there's any doubt that they should be asking that question. I mean, we're talking about players that haven't played well here and who've had criticism. Mikey Moore has had his fair share of criticism at the start of the season. I remember writing myself saying he needed to show more of this. He came here with that bold ambition of what to be one of the best players in the world, and we saw flashes of what he could do breaking into the Spurs team last season. You thought this would be a really good platform for him, but like a lot of players, he struggled in the early weeks of the season, and as the whole team did under Russell Martin. But we've spoken about this so many times before, what I really love about him as a player, as a person, is he's not prepared to make excuses for himself. He's not prepared just to say, I had a bad game. He questions himself. He talks about how beneficial playing for a club of this size, and as I say, this, the demands and the expectation levels that come at Rangers. He spoke about how great that's been for his own mentality, his development as a player. And he's even, we were over in Porto last week. I spoke with the mic's on. He talked about his own having to reflect in his own form pretty much since the Old Firm game. He didn't think he'd be at it, and he wasn't. Again, I tried to offer him one out. Going, no, you've played a lot of games for the most you'll ever have played in your career. You're only 18 years of age. You're just a bit tired. He totally dismissed any suggestion of that. Wasn't prepared to take that offer of an excuse. No, I need to look at my own performances. I need to be better. I need to be the guy that there's fresh competition coming. I need to step up. I want to keep my place in my team. So I think that is just so refreshing, especially if he's the youngest guy in the team, and yet he's got the most mature outlook of them all. And then you add that to his natural ability. You add that to the desire whenever he gets in the ball. His first instinct is, I want to create something. You know what I mean? It's not like, I think there's been times where Rangers players have had this season. I think there's been times where Rangers players have passed responsibility. I don't think I've ever seen Mikey Moore do that. I think every time he gets the ball, he feels an onus on himself to go and deliver, to go and produce, to go and make something happen. It took him in the 93rd minute, but he did last night. He gets his goal, and he was thoroughly deserved.
Even in the draw against Hibs at the weekend, he comes off the bench, and listen, it wasn't a great performance by Rangers. They obviously dropped 2 points, but he's half a yard away from scoring the winner coming off the bench. And again, the willingness and the desire to make that run, between defenders, attack the last man, and he produces a brilliant finish. I totally agree. I mean, I think he's had a really positive impact on this Rangers squad. I think Danny Rowe is a big fan. You can tell when you listen to both of them talking about each other that they've struck up a really good relationship. I think Rangers have to ask that question. 18 years old. A lot of things can happen, especially at Spurs. I mean, who knows who their manager will be next year? Thomas Frank's under a bit of pressure already. They might want him back. They might want him back initially, so you might need to wait. But Rangers, what they've given Mikey Moore in terms of a platform, you listen to him speak, he loves it up here. He feels as if his game's developed, he's improved as a player. I think getting another year's loan would be beneficial for everyone, for Rangers, for Mikey Moore, and for Spurs. So, I mean, hopefully they can get that done. I mean, he was.
You say to that, sorry, Scott, it's just that having spoke to him last week in the mix zone and asked the question, I mean, we seem to ask the question every time we speak to him. Is there another chance another year? Do you fancy it? Have you been in discussions? I just get the vibe. I mean, he keeps sort of trying to push away any sort of talk about it and say, listen, it's not me that makes the decision. There's other people at the club, obviously at Spurs. And just judging from the way he answered last week, the body language, I kind of get the feeling that he probably won't be back. I think he maybe feels, obviously being a Londoner, I think he's a Millwall fan, but being a Londoner playing for a Premier League, a giant in Spurs, you've got to say, I think he'll fancy himself going back down and having a crack. He was obviously on the fringes of the squad last year, being almost just not long left school basically. He's had a year up here, playing a really tough environment. Who knows, might go back down the road with a winner's medal. I just thinking, given the type of mentality that we've seen from him, I think he'll fancy himself going into that Spurs team, and I think that'll be the main stumbling block for Rangers getting him back here. It's whether or not he'll fancy going down there and being prepared to maybe sit the bench for a bit and bide his time and fight for his place. But just knowing his personality, I think he'll back himself to go down next year and break into that Spurs team, which I think he's every right to do, and it would be fantastic to see. But I think that may be the thing that sort of ultimately thwarts Rangers in their attempts.